Spoilers
for episode
Spoilers
2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Spoilers. Hello and welcome to the Socially Isolated College Kids recap of episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
All right.
It's Edison here, and I've got Cameron and Zach with me here again.
Hello.
Yes, I do. Man, this show is good. I'll say it.
It
really
is
is
my
good.
favorite Marvel TV show, and we are 2 episodes in.
Wow.
It's so good. Like, I'm just really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying the length of each episode. I think the increased, what is it? It's only like 10 or 20 minutes more, but it really adds a lot, I think.
I wish it were longer.
I'd be fine.
Well,
like,
that gets to like
That's my only.
every episode 2 hours long.
2 hours long, but that's just movies. That's like
No,
6 movies.
it-
Yeah,
the
my
TV
only
shows
my
are- the
only
episodes are
nitpick,
good.
I guess, to get it out of the way. My only negative thing about the show is I wish each episode was like another 10 minutes longer, so that I could just have a little bit more time with all the characters. It just I feel like it goes by
I
so
know.
quick because I'm enjoying watching it so much.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
I could watch a million hours of Sam and Bucky just dicking around.
Oh my god, it is the chemistry that they have on screen is so unbelievably good. Like, oh
It's
my
so
god,
fun.
the best scene in this episode is when they're at like the military base, and he's like, it's one of the big 3. He's like, what's the big 3? And he says, the big 3.
Androids, aliens, and wizards.
That's not a thing.
That's
And he says,
definitely
we've never met a wizard. And he said, well, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is a sorcerer. Only difference between a sorcerer and a wizard, sorcerer doesn't have a hat. See, I just made that up. And then he makes the joke about Gandalf, and he's like, you know who that is? And he said, yeah, I read The Hobbit in 1937 when it came out.
That was a
so
great
good.
line.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Also,
Oh my God.
wait, hold on. They know the Scarlet Witch, right? I mean, she's a wizard, kinda, right?
I would consider her a warlock.
Wasn't
maybe?
Warlock on the male version?
I mean,
of
I
a
guess
witch?
her technically she would be considered a witch.
It'd be a witch,
Right.
yeah. But I'm also thinking
know.
D&D terms, because a warlock is you get your powers from making some type of deal with something. Who
Oh,
knows? But
who knows?
the
Oh.
technical term would be witch.
we forgot to do it again. Spoilers for episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Spoilers.
I'll put this
Spoilers.
in
It's
at
fine.
the
It's fine.
I'll put this in at the beginning again, like I did for the last episode. So this episode opens on John Walker, that like in-depth little right before his interview with Good Morning America, which canonically exists in the MCU.
He's so annoying.
He is annoying. I mean,
What is
obviously
So annoying.
we're not supposed to
yeah.
like him, I guess, because he's
No.
eventually going to be the villain, I imagine.
Yeah.
But he's obnoxious.
But what is with, because he's Kurt Russell's son, right?
The actor is?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. It's Kurt Russell's son.
Oh my
Okay.
god, I did not know
So
that. No.
what is
that's
it?
crazy.
What is it with the Russell family being 2 of the most easily hated characters in the entirety of the MCU?
Unless he's playing Santa Claus. That
Wait a
Kurt
minute.
Russell
Is
Santa Claus
Kurt
movie,
Russell
pretty good.
the villain in the first
He's
time?
Ego. No, he's
No,
Ego.
Yeah.
In
Guardians of the
Volume
Galaxy
2.
2.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
He plays the embodiment of ego.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, and it's kind of interesting because what a U.S. agent's whole thing is that he's got a big ego, so that's kind of a fun little connection there.
you guys want to know what about his Captain America look for me makes it look so stupid? And then I
What's
picked
that?
this up on this watch.
Mm-hmm.
His ears stick out like
Yeah.
the original
They do.
cap cowl cover his like ears, but this time they're just like flopping out there like in the wind. I'm like, this is odd.
I didn't notice
He
it
does
at
have
first, but
flappy
now that you
ears.
mentioned it, that's probably why it looks so stupid.
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
because he's actually
got-
more attractive than I thought. Like, I don't know,
he
personally.
really it's like from the first shot of them in the first episode at the end, I was like, he literally just looks like Casey Neistat.
Yeah.
But he's pretty attractive. He's got great hair.
Got nothing on Chris Evans though.
Nothing on Chris Evans,
Oh,
but he's
nothing
got
on
great
Chris
hair.
Evans.
Yeah, no.
Nothing on Andrew Garfield either, but he's got great hair.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, this show's so funny though too. It's written so well. It's shot so well.
It's a Marvel TV show. It's got the Marvel humor, the
It's
Marvel
a marvel
action.
to behold.
nice,
Yeah.
nice, Zach.
It's
Um,
marvelous, if you will.
It really is
Oh, yes.
marvelous.
It really is.
Oh man! Weekly shout out to Skoglund, Carrie Skoglund. She's doing an incredible
good.
job. She's
Yeah.
doing so good. This is one of the very few shows that I've watched and movies that I'm just sitting there like noticing how good the framing is. How every shot just
Yeah, she's a
feels
great
so
director.
good. She's doing so good. What has she done before? I don't know her.
No idea.
Yeah.
Let me look that up because I would like to know.
Carrie, we love you.
If you ever find this podcast,
yeah, if you ever want to come on sometime, we'd
would love to have you.
DM us on our Instagram.
Oh my God, she did The Handmaid's Tale.
What did she do?
The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
That's cool.
That is cool.
It's a great book. Anyway.
I thought, so the one thing that I'm so far loving the most about this show is how it's tackling real world issues. So like Sam gets racially profiled by the cops.
Oh yeah. That was a really interesting
that
scene.
Was rough.
That was like, I knew Marvel, they touch upon it all the time in the comics, but like you never really see it in like a TV show or a movie. But this is the second instance where Sam is being oppressed by white people. Because you see in the first episode with the banker, doesn't recognize that it's him. And then as soon as he finds out that it's Falcon, he's like, doesn't treat him as a normal person. And he's like, oh my God, can I get a picture with you? And he's like, dude, I'm trying to save my house. Like, what is your deal? And then the cops are like, they talk directly to Bucky and they're like, is this guy giving you a hard time? And Sam's like,
right, exactly.
It's like the scene from Get Out when they're driving and the I forget the actor's name, but the main character, his girlfriend is driving and he's in the passenger seat and the cop asks for his ID.
Right.
So it's like, it's super interesting.
That's also like why, like, I really like the dynamic between Sam and Bucky, like towards the end when they had that therapy scene, because I mean, it obviously the show explores the idea that, you know, Sam is obviously at the moment kind of really struggling with whether or not he feels comfortable taking up the mantle of Captain America, right? And then you have Bucky, who's literally from the 1940s, whose whole like worldview is like totally different. He like, I love the line when Sam was like, "You or Cap might never understand this, but it's like hard for me to like take up the shield." And like that's super interesting dynamic between the two characters, you know?
That scene is really interesting because there's that one line that Bucky says that if he was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me too, which is a really
it's like
powerful line.
He's trying to get like self-reassurance from Sam. Like because Sam chose to give up the shield. Now whatever semblance of self-confidence that Bucky had, it's gone. And you know, Steve's just chilling on the moon.
And you think about like Sam and Bucky are both technically war vets, right?
Yep.
And then Sam has that extra like Black American pinned on top of him, so he's got so much he's got to deal with, and it's really interesting to see this very in-depth look at both of these characters. Because to be completely honest, I thought this was just going to be like an action show. I mean, I kind of touched upon that in the first episode, but this is so much more than I ever could have hoped for.
It's incredibly deep.
It really is.
Speaking of action, how do you guys feel about the action in the show?
I'm loving it.
Specifically talking about the one in the there's kind of like, I guess maybe one sequence per episode at this point. Like there was in this episode there's the whole chase with the it was
like the helicopter.
Yeah.
And then this one was
Yeah, it was interesting. It was kind of fun to have John Walker come on and start in the fight because it almost felt like a stand-in. I mean, he is a stand-in Captain America, but it really felt like the three of them fighting together for a little bit. And then you realize that
when he showed up, I was like, this feels wrong. This does not feel right.
That's funny because I thought I had a little bit of both where I was like, oh, it's Captain America. That's the character that's supposed to be fighting alongside the two of them, you know? But then also there was that this is not him type beat.
It was a cool shot when like he like threw the shield and then I think it ricocheted off something and then Bucky caught it.
Yeah.
He totally could have just taken the shield at that point.
I know.
You know what I thought was cool too? When his like buddy fell off and he threw the shield under to catch his fall.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was pretty funny.
That was cool. Yeah, so we are introduced in this episode to Hoskins, is the character's name. He has a first name. I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's something. But he is in the comics, which is cool.
He's cool.
So,
I like him.
The one thing I'm so far, like, I can't believe about Falcon Winter Soldier is, in this second episode alone, the number of name drops to the rest of the Marvel Universe, unbelievable. I think
That's true.
I could be wrong about this, but I think so far these 2 episodes have had more of a connection to the MCU than the entirety of WandaVision. I could be wrong. In terms of introducing new characters and having them have some semblance of importance to Marvel Comics. Something.
Well, there is like Sword is pretty big. And the Blip and Monica are both pretty big too.
And also, I think the events of WandaVision and how it kind of wraps up are gonna have major effects on coming up in the MCU. You know what I mean?
I agree. But 2 existing MCU things, I do think that you're right, Cameron.
But what's interesting, so that the Hoskins, I believe he name dropped his own superhero alias, which was, I believe, Battlestar.
Yeah, Battlestar is what it was.
He actually
said. So
I believe in the comics, he at one point took on the name of Bucky, like he became a Bucky of sorts to a Captain America. I don't know if it was a U.S. agent. And the other one of the other name drops, of course, was, I forget his last name, but it's Isaiah, the Korean vet that Bucky meets.
Oh yeah,
he actually is canonically the first Black Captain America.
That's interesting.
Which I believe
he is a captain.
Upon.
Like he is Captain America.
Yes,
that's interesting. I wonder if there's going to be anything more with him.
They have to mention something about it.
What's interesting is such a big piece of the show so far is the super soldier serum, because obviously, John Walker, his name is John Walker, right?
It is John Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have the super soldier serum.
Correct.
He's just a buff guy, which is really interesting, and you can notice it. You notice it too when he fights.
Oh
because
100%.
He's clearly not as strong as Chris Evans, Captain America.
Yeah,
and like even in terms of his combat, he does a lot more shield throwing. I feel like, or shield play than like actual.
Because he's not
hand-to-hand.
as confident as in his hand-to-hand combat.
Right, and he does have it in the comics.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll get it during the show, because obviously the villains of the show have the super soldier serum.
I think he's going to, because the last name drop of the episode is Power Broker. So Power Broker.
Well, technically it's Zemo, but
Zemo's not really like a new character. We already know Zemo, but Power Broker is a new. I should have said the last new name drop is Power Broker, and his whole thing is exactly what his name implies. He gives out like superpowers to people. So I'd imagine that he strikes a deal with the U.S. agent, and that's how he gets the super soldier serum.
Do we think that Walker and Hoskins are going to be recurring characters in the MCU?
I hope
Or
not.
do you think it's like a one-shot, like villain arc in this show?
I would be fine if they were reoccurring. Depends on the circumstance.
They would have to go through. Well, Walker specifically would have to go through significant character development for me to be okay with him sticking around in the MCU.
Well, he would be a villain, I mean, I think.
As a villain? Like an evil Captain America? Oh, I would be down with that, I think.
He is in the comics. That is his character.
Yeah. Is he a villain in the comics?
He is.
I didn't realize
yes,
that.
he is.
Yeah, actually,
he's
he
basically
starts off
anti-Captain America.
Well, he starts off as the government's choice for Captain America, because I think at the time Captain America's gone, but then Steve comes back and like fights him back for the mantle.
And then there's like the ego power play type thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I think that maybe Hoskins might be a hero, and Walker might be a villain, or maybe they're both villains, or maybe they're both heroes in a different way. Because you never know. MCU stuff is so unpredictable because there's so many things from the comics that they follow and so many things that they completely deviate from in good and bad ways. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Calling it right now, Chris Evans is going to make a cameo in the show.
I thought that it was going to be him when it was Isaiah. I thought it was going to be him already. I was like, what? Second episode?
No, it's definitely going to be like the end of the episode. It's going to be, unless he's
like the last one, you think?
Yeah, definitely. Unless he's like dead.
When they were like, I feel like them saying he's not dead means that maybe not in this show, but at some point he's definitely making a cameo. But I feel like when they were like, I've got someone who knows a lot about the super soldier serum, and they like they ended up meeting the Vietnam vet, but I thought they were going to go to Chris Evans. I just feel like he's going to be in it.
So
I just feel it in my jellies, I guess.
I think that, good reference, I do think that they set up the moon thing as an outlandish idea that may come true.
Yeah. I'd like to. I know I said it in the first episode where I like to believe that he's on the moon just because I think it's funny.
Oh my god, it would be so funny if they found him on the moon. He like came down his spaceship. How funny would that be?
Just old Chris Evans, like
right, this
decrepit man with a cane comes down
up.
in an astronaut suit.
Oh my god, it'd be so funny. I really hope something like that happens.
You guys, I have a Marvel-y question.
Yeah, sure.
Why does Captain America age, but Bucky doesn't?
So in the Winter Soldier, they actually explain it, and it's actually so the reason. So they age; it's just slower.
Okay.
In the the reason Cap didn't age the first time before Endgame was because he was frozen in ice for I think it was like 7 years.
I remember that.
Yeah. They did the same thing basically for Bucky. They like,
but wasn't Bucky kicking ass like?
So they froze
they freeze him in between missions.
Oh, really?
They had said that in Winter. Yeah, they had said that in Winter Soldier because there's a couple scenes where they show him like they like wipe his mind again.
That's super interesting.
And then freeze him.
Yeah, he's inactive until he is fighting somebody, and then he's inactive again. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the idea. Yeah,
so that's why. And then
that's cool.
Obviously, Cap ages the full. Like obviously, he would. A slower amount, but he ages the full, like, I was alive from 1930 to 2020.
Right.
That's why he looks
right,
old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't see him die, so I feel like there's no way we don't see him.
They would totally say if Captain America died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The actress in this show who's the leader of the Flag Smashers, I don't know her name, but she is from Rogue One. I remember her being...
Yeah, I feel like I've seen her before.
Yeah, she was basically the leader of that rebel group in Rogue One at the end of the movie. Oh, sorry, Solo. At the end of Solo.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where there was that. Yeah, at the end of the movie where they like do that huge like triple, quadruple cross type deal. That's right.
Yeah.
And then it's
she just loves being she's typecast as the leader of a rebel group.
I guess so, huh? I like the Flag Smasher. It's kind of a cool...
It's a cool concept.
Thing, but I really loved when Sam says, 1 year in Wakanda and you're already calling yourself the White Panther. And then he's like, what's the White Wolf, actually?
White Wolf, yeah.
White Wolf, yeah.
That was oh my God. Like, there are so many funny moments throughout. And even again, in that same scene, Bucky's like sneaking around, whatever. And then Sam pulls like a Batman and shows up right next to him.
That was so funny.
He's like, "Hi, how are you? How you doing?"
Right.
Even the psychology or the therapist scene, even though it's serious, it was unintentionally funny. Like when they're like get closer and they touch knees, and then they're like, "Well, you're gonna have to move your leg," and they do like a sort of like one. Well, it was
intentionally funny, but not in the same kind of way.
They have like It's funny because the therapist I think brought up like dealing with like a married couple. They kind of give off that kind of vibe. It's like they're like an old married couple.
I know. Have you seen those interviews of Paul Rudd and
Jeremy Renner?
Paul Rudd, the least sexy Avenger.
Those ones are great.
I disagree that he's the least sexy Avenger, but they give off a similar vibe to Jeremy Renner and Paul Rudd, I think.
Yeah,
which I really enjoy.
Sebastian Stan and I forget who plays Sam.
Anthony Mackie,
yeah.
Mackie.
They're the same way. Like all the Marvel castmates are the same way, like on screen, off screen. There was actually, I remember there was an interview during Civil War. It wasn't like an interview, but it was at some sort of like Comic-Con or whatever, where they have like people come up and talk, and they had talked about Civil War, and this girl comes up and starts speaking Romanian, and Sebastian Stan knows Romanian.
Oh, okay.
So like they have this whole conversation in Romanian, and he had asked the interviewer, he was like, "Do you want me to answer in English or in Romanian?" And he had said, "You can answer in Romanian as long as you don't talk about Civil War." And so they were talking about like, "Oh, when are you coming to Romania?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll probably go again this summer." And she was like, "You should stay with me." And then he's like, Civil War, fantastic movie. But he wanted to name drop Civil War to, scare the interviewer. But I think, all the Marvel castmates are
Sebastian Stan. Great. Let's get him in for Luke Skywalker. It's about time.
Come
my
God. I've seen
Let's make it happen.
Those deep fake cuts. They look so good.
He looks like Mark Hamill.
He really does. It's time. It is time.
It's time.
Well, do we have anything else to say other than I'm excited for the next episode? I love this show.
Yep, Carrie, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on.
Carrie, you're the best. Shout out.
Yep.
It's Carrie shout out time, number 2. Carrie Skoglund.
And Disney Marvel, if you had any doubts, we give you the go-ahead to finally cast Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker. So
yeah, you have our permission.
Don't worry about it anymore. You have our permission.
All right. Leave a like down on the video. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We would really appreciate it. Check out our Snyder Cut podcast coming out this Monday. It's a lot of fun. The hot dogs, a lot of hot dog talk. Thanks guys for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.